Gonna take a little break, but I just saw something that ticks me off. For those who are criticizing hip hop and all that, you guys won't criticize rock and roll. You guys won't criticize heavy music. Why? Because a lot of black people are not in those industries, and I know exactly why. Hey, you guys are the same people who back in the 1920s would have said, blues is degenerate music, R&B is degenerate music, but now you guys love those art forms, don't you? You do, don't you? The reason you're mad is because it comes from black people. You're the same people. If the people back in the 1920s told you to dress up in blackface and make fun and demonize your own, you guys would do it without hesitation. I might be light-skinned, but I'm not stupid. I know what this is about. Because you guys will do this stuff without even knowing your history. And you guys forgot the government back in the Reagan era put crack and cocaine in a lot of black neighborhoods. They literally helicoptered that shit in. For those who clearly don't understand how that shit worked, they flew it in and they dropped crack and all those drugs and they fled their communities. Because last time I checked, like Tupac said, we don't have planes, we don't have boats. Guess what's flying all the drugs in? The American government. And Democrats and Republicans are working hand in hand. And to blame people that look like us, sound like us, who like the same music as us, try to demonize our music. Anything that is considered black. Okay, think about this. Anything that was considered black, even back then, even now, it's considered dangerous. It's considered evil. It's considered blah 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 blah. They won't say that about rock and roll. No. But they won't about heavy metal. But they always say about hip hop. It doesn't take something with a lot of brain cells to realize, they don't like people who look like us because they want to demonize our music, like they did back in the day. So you want to demonize our music? That's fine, but don't sit there and be like you're for black people when you're not. Because like I said, you're the same people who would put on blackface back in the 1920s. Because black people also put on blackface too and demonize our own. Always. And then the media, demonizing us as all criminals and stuff like that. Listen, I grew up in a white neighborhood, okay? There's people I grew up with that are white, that listen to hip hop and never committed a crime. Okay? And they're talking about, smacking and banging hoes and all that shit. Alright, so clearly that's not how criminals are made. They're not. So let's just sit here and stop pretending that's how criminals are made. Alright. Thirdly, thirdly? Alright. Now with the obscene stuff that happened, okay, for those who know what buck breaking is, basically the elite, essentially, if you know how the history of slavery, the elite or the slave masters would get a black, well, it's not really a race, but usually, they're slaves, and they would basically have rape parties. So they would rape the men, rape the women, rape the children, basically to let them know you're beneath us. It's the same thing. The elite are still doing the same thing. Doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. They do that to remind the people that are in the lower classes that we're beneath them. But we're not, because they forget we have the power to rise up at any time. But I think deep down they know that. That's why